Crack the egg directly into the pot. The result is, as you can see, the egg whites melt all over the pot, creating white foam floating on the surface of the water, which is not only unsightly, but also difficult to scoop out. This method seems simple but is not effective, because the eggs do not keep their round shape, and the yolks can easily dry out or break when cooked. Therefore, today I will share with you an extremely simple egg boiling technique, which helps the eggs cook evenly, without white foam, without breaking, and much more beautiful. Just follow a few small steps. You will see the boiled egg dish become more perfect than ever. First, I prepare a basket of fresh eggs just taken from the chicken coop, with dirt and a little bit of chicken droppings on the outside of the shell. This is a very common situation with domestic chicken eggs, so the initial cleaning step is extremely important to ensure hygiene and prevent the boiled eggs from having white foam later. I put all the eggs in a clean basin, then add a spoonful of salt. Salt has a mild antiseptic effect and also helps to remove dirt and mucus from the eggshell. Next, I pour water over the eggs, then stir well with my hands to completely dissolve the salt in the water. Once the water is stirred well, I soak the eggs for about 5 to 7 minutes. During this time, the salt will help soften and separate the dirt from the surface of the shell, making the washing process easier later. When the soaking time is over, I do not take the eggs out, but leave them in the saltwater basin. At this point, I use a paper towel or soft cloth to wipe each egg right in the basin, both to clean the surface and to avoid strong impacts that can cause the eggs to crack. Next, I put the eggs in another basin of clean water to rinse one last time, making sure to completely remove any remaining salt and dirt. Finally, take the eggs out of the basket and let them drain. At this point, the eggs are clean, the surface is shiny and ready for boiling. Now, let's start boiling the eggs. First, I put water in a clean pot, then add a spoonful of salt. Salt not only helps increase the boiling temperature of the water, but also prevents the eggs from sticking together when boiling. Use a ladle to stir until the salt is completely dissolved in the water. Once the salt has dissolved, I increase the temperature and boil until the water boils vigorously. However, do not rush to put the eggs in when the water is boiling. Instead, I scoop about 4 to 5 ladles of boiling water from the pot, then pour it directly into the prepared egg bowl. This amount of water is enough to completely cover the eggs. I soak the eggs for 1 to 2 minutes. This step sounds simple but is very important, as it helps warm the eggshell and causes the protein on the surface to start to coagulate slightly. The egg white will coagulate quickly after being put in the pot. No more worrying about it breaking and losing its shape. Easily cook eggs to perfection. Now, we will start the actual egg boiling step. First, I crack each egg into a small bowl. This method helps to check the freshness of the eggs before cooking, and also makes it easier to pour the eggs into the pot, limiting the yolk from breaking or creating white foam. When the water in the pot is boiling, I turn off the stove temporarily and wait a few seconds for the water to settle, no longer boiling strongly. This is very important. If you drop the eggs in when the water is boiling too much, the egg white will be shocked, causing it to break, spill out and create white foam around the pot. When the water has cooled down, I gently put each egg into the pot, working very slowly to keep the egg shape. After adding all the eggs, I cover the pot and turn on the stove to low heat. I simmer for the first 2 minutes until the edge of the egg white begins to solidify and turns a light milky white color. At that point, the egg has begun to take shape, no longer dissolving in the water. Then, I continue to cover and cook for another 3 minutes, still keeping the heat low so that the eggs cooked slowly and evenly inside. When the time was up, I used a ladle to gently scoop the eggs onto a plate. At this point, the eggs were round and neat, with no white foam around them. The egg whites were smooth and beautiful, and the yolks retained their natural softness and fat. If you are bored with the usual fried or boiled eggs, today I will show you a completely new way to enjoy eggs. Fragrant, light, and very easy to make, eggs with hot soup. First, I chopped some fresh green onions and put them in a bowl. Green onions not only create a mild aroma, but also make the eggs more colorful and attractive. Next, I added a spoonful of aromatic pepper, a spoonful of olive oil, a spoonful of oyster sauce, and a little hot water to the bowl. These ingredients will blend together to create a light, rich soup with a distinctive aroma. Then, I used a spoon to stir the mixture, so that all the spices dissolved and blended together. When the water was fragrant, I gently put the boiled eggs in the bowl. The heat from the soup will help the eggs absorb the flavor. The whites will be softer and the yolks will be more fatty. This egg and soup dish is both simple and unique, with the light fatty taste of eggs, the aroma of green onions and oyster sauce, and the mild spicy taste of pepper. Perfect for days when you want to change the taste while still maintaining the lightness and sophistication in every bite. So with just a few simple steps, we can boil round, foam-free, crack-free eggs that still retain their natural flavor and softness inside. The secret lies in just a few small changes in the processing method, from soaking the eggs, cleaning them, to gently warming them with boiling water before putting them in the pot. But the effect is completely different from the usual boiling method. And if you want to enjoy eggs in a new way, eggs with fragrant onion soup is a great choice. The soft, fatty taste of eggs combined with warm soup, lightly fragrant with green onions, oyster sauce, and pepper, brings an experience that is both simple and rich, full of warmth like a home-cooked meal. The special thing is that all the steps are very easy to do. No complicated techniques or special tools are required. With just a little meticulousness and care, you can completely prepare for yourself a delicious and beautiful egg dish, guaranteed to make everyone want to try it right away. If you find this video useful, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so that I have more motivation to share many simple and interesting tips in daily life. Thank you for watching. I wish you always have delicious, light, and energetic meals every day.